There is some good news here. Now, obviously, the Chargers are going to be in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders, and Las Vegas is going to be the home of the Super Bowl coming up in February. Well, apparently, the Super Bowl had such a great time, and the NFL had such a great time a couple of years ago in L.A., that it's back. You didn't know you needed it, but it is back. And L.A. will get the Super Bowl in 2027. So the next 4 Super Bowls are Las Vegas, New Orleans, Santa Clara, and L.A. Trying to figure out where Atlanta falls into the mix, maybe a little Miami. Like, it just feels like there's some other options and possibilities out there.
Dallas.
Yeah. I mean,
Dallas would have made some sense.
Yeah. Dallas was a horrible Super Bowl experience for me.
That was cold and snowy, right?
Yeah, iced out.
Wow.
I remember we couldn't get up a hill on the highway. Like, cars were, like, falling, like, sliding back into one another. Yeah. I get out of the car to try to walk up to the exit. I'm falling down the hill. Like, it was – the weather was crazy there. I mean, I will say outside of the weather, though, it was a very, very fun place to have the Super Bowl. I will say that. Dallas was fun to hang out in when you got there. Yeah, once you got there.
So Dallas, Miami make
Miami
just as much
fun.
sense.
Yeah,
and we've recently had the Super Bowl in LA, right?
Yeah. Atlanta.
That's like 2 years ago.
I thought
Atlanta
in 2018 was the most organized Super Bowl I've ever been to. It was
really easy.
Yeah.
Really easy the whole week. The other one's Tampa. I mean, I thought the Tampa one, despite the circumstances of COVID and everything else with it, it's still made for. I mean, and that's the one thing as I look at, San Francisco, LA. Like, if there is any issue like we've had in the past, if that presents itself again, you're not gonna be able to have that event there. I mean, and obviously they can shuffle some things around if that ever came up, but I'm just saying based on how the past worked out. And Tampa kind of came to the rescue. I don't know. Those are things that you never thought about before when they make these announcements that now looking forward you have to give some consideration to.
You think they'll ever do a cold weather Super Bowl again outdoors?
If it's in a dome.
Like New York?
New York wasn't cold, though. That was actually like it had an odd, crazy week of like nice weather.
And then the next day,
I enjoyed New York one.
After the Super Bowl, the next day apparently it got really bad.
Yeah.
So they kind of dodged a bullet there. But I wonder if they would ever
They
go
shut
that
down
direction
Times
again.
Square. You want to know how powerful the NFL is? They shut down Times Square.
But that's the issue that I have with LA was when we were in LA, it didn't feel like there was a Super Bowl coming there. It felt like there's just like different parts of town where there was stuff going on, but it didn't feel the same way you felt if you were in Atlanta. Even Miami when the one was down there. Or some of the other Super Bowls, even Arizona. Again, a little bit spread out or divided, but like you knew the Super Bowl was there. LA, it just kind of felt like just another thing going on, And it just felt different.
Even Phoenix last year, that felt like a Super Bowl week. Like there was stuff everywhere. Now, it was a little bit difficult to get around unless you're Lee and you rented a scooter for some ungodly reason.
Yeah, it's a little divided.
Or you're a night walker and you move a certain type of way.
When's the last time Houston had one?
I don't know, but that was a fun one too. I had a great time in Houston.
What's that supposed to be?
Jeez, Monettis.
You know where I'd love to have one? There's 2 places that I don't know if they ever will, but I'd love to have them. And I think the weather would be okay. Is Seattle and Denver.
I'd be out of commission if we were in Seattle or Denver.
You think? Okay,
I mean, I'd be on the show and I'd just be laughing at y'all the whole time.
What are the percentage chances that we would get rain in Seattle? I would say high.
100%.
Maybe, but at the same time, it's not like a tropical storm rain. It's not that bad. I think it'd be an amazing stadium and atmosphere to have one in. And then Denver's the other one where, I mean, you know how it is out there. Like that sun gets hot, man, when it comes out. And I don't know. Like it would be nice to see a Super Bowl in a little cooler weather. But that city, that town,
Denver's a fun city.
That'd be so much fun.
That's a fun city. I did All-Star Week. That Denver is where the Vince Carter dunk contest took place. I was there. And that was amazing. That All-Star weekend was amazing.
You know what's great about Denver? it feels clean. When you're walking around, there's a crispness to the air.
Denver
the
is
smog
nice.
level is so low. I don't even know if there's any smog whatsoever. I had a buddy who lives there, and he says, my favorite part about Denver is you get all 4 seasons.
Well,
every single one.
There was a lot of smoke during that All-Star weekend, I'll tell you
like
that.
what?
Whoa. Whole lot of smoke. I was trying to be all up in it.
Yeah.
And I ain't talking about like weed smoke either. I'm not talking about smokers.
I've never been to this city. I'm assuming you guys have. How come Jacksonville hasn't gotten one since that first time they got it?
Well, that was the other city I was going to bring up. If when they build a new stadium, you'd think they'll get rewarded with one.
That's a good question, though. Why hasn't Jacksonville got one?
Do they have the capacity? I mean,
That might
they've
be
had
what
one
it
way
is.
back when, right?
It might be maybe logistically surrounding
the hot
the
tub.
area.
Yeah, they do.
But
have
the
hot tub.
area
Pool,
surrounding.
whatever. Somebody kept correcting me, going, it's a pool, right? I was like, yeah, I know. I go, it's not that big, so you might as well call it a hot tub.
Call it a bathtub. Who cares?
I'll tell you where it would be an interesting place to do one if they were doing cold weather. Would be Pittsburgh. I'm telling you. It'd be an interesting place to do it because more often than not, you could easily Uber or get ride share into the city. And once you're into the city, like literally if you're on the North Shore or if you're downtown, you can just walk everywhere.
What about Indianapolis?
Well, I enjoyed Indianapolis.
Yeah.
That was
Indy's
a
always
fun
a
one
great
too.
host.
Yeah,
they host
a fun one.
the combine every year. Anyone who's worked that knows you can manage and get around despite the weather because of how it's all interconnected.
That Indianapolis Super Bowl was fun. That was
Plus,
a
they
fun
have
time.
1,000 steakhouses. I mean, from St. Elmo's to Prime 47.
I met Drake there. That's where I met Drake. I met Snoop Dogg for the first time at the Indy Super Bowl.
There's probably some smoke around you then.
Oh, there's a little bit of smoke.
Yep.
Smoke. Yeah, there's a little bit. I arm wrestled Snoop's bodyguard. His arm was as long as a leg. Didn't go well. I had to stand up and try to put 5 pillows underneath my elbow to.
I thought you said you arm wrestled Snoop.
Yeah. No. I arm wrestled his bodyguard. Yeah. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Anyways.
A lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah. No. Ew.
So
No, I just meant
congratulations.
the story.
Yeah. LA's getting another Super Bowl. So for
Let's leave it there.
for anybody that was wondering, man,
do
what are they
you
gonna
think
bring
this has to
back?
do with the fact there's 2 teams there? They spent so much money to move there. Like that has to be the thought process behind it.
Yeah, well, it's why Minnesota got Minneapolis got a
Get
Super
one
Bowl,
and they'll be done. Yeah.
And it was like, all right, well, you built a stadium. Here's a little something for you. I mean, if we're gonna play that game, Buffalo's building a stadium soon.
Yeah.
Washington.
Chicago's
sounds like
building
they're
a
going
stadium
to.
soon. Like
Washington, yeah.
Sounds
Washington
like
would be
they're trying to move
dope.
to
That'd be a
Loudoun
fun
County.
one.
That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
Be a lot of smoke.
oh yeah,
Memories, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is. There's your Super Bowl update. But
That's going to be fun, though. We'll be doing radio while everybody's sleeping or still partying.
Yeah,
that's always a fun one.
That is the other portion of all this. If we're going to be honest here, just for selfish purposes, we can't really partake in Super Bowl week like a lot of
Unless
other
it's
shows
East Coast. East Coast is fine.
because that 2 a.m. wake up call.
That is my other gripe to all this is and by the way, it's not just us. Everyone has to wake up, work earlier. It actually limits too some of the sponsorship opportunities because the people just aren't going to get up for the early morning stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of the athletes that come by who are doing marketing and sponsorship deals, they're not gonna come in for that 7, 8. Like normally they would if it's on the East Coast, but not when they're out partying or whatever on the West Coast, and then they've got to get up to go do something at 4 a.m. Pacific. Like it limits that. And the other thing that's crazy is why Santa Clara? Like why do we keep going back? That is the worst city to host a Super Bowl. It's so divided. Like half the stuff's up in San Francisco. Then you're down in Santa Clara, which is easily an hour without traffic away. It's the whole thing is a mess. I never understand why they always want to go back there.
I mean, it was a little.
The
bit
stadium
awkward.
itself is nice, and like what they've done around Santa Clara in the stadium is nice, but they don't host everything down there, so it's a logistical nightmare. Like I remember the last time we went through that. Like outside of, poop maps and not trying to step on
oh
stuff.
my God.
That was 2016.
Yeah.
It was there was also to try and get to media days, because the media night was at the stadium in Santa Clara, but everybody was staying in downtown, like Brady was saying, and just to be able to get there, you had to meet up at a certain time. Then it was somebody was saying it was like a 45-minute drive or something like that.
It's more than that, dude. Because that's not including traffic.
What a pain in the ass.
Traffic out there is awful all day, every day. And you can't, and by the way, it's only gotten worse getting out of the stadium. Like the last game I called there, we were literally stuck in a car and we couldn't go anywhere. Like couldn't even back out of the parking spot for a good 45 minutes to an hour. It was that jam just trying to get out of there.
I mean, if they want to do somebody a solid after what they did to him, they should really take it to Hawaii. I mean, because of the NFL, they ripped down Aloha Stadium because they didn't send the Pro Bowl there anymore. Least they could do is send a Super Bowl over there as a little bit of a make good. Just saying, they're working on something. It may not be done for like 25 years, but they're trying to put a venue together. We could make that work. You want to wake up early? How about 2 hours earlier than what we normally do during that time in Hawaii? Just saying, there's options out there. Better options in LA, if we're being truthful. And also, should be noted, the NFL is going to Brazil.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
I hope we get invited to that
would be
one.
fun. That would be.
I'll tell you this much: if we do, I don't know that LaVar is coming back.